Now this is how my skirt looks. The flace starts from the knee and drapes softly around my legs. So if you love the way the flace started and how it drapes softly around my legs, then you completely love today's tutorial. I made this outfit using ankara. Okay, today we are going to learn how to cut and sew a 6-pieces skirt. Now a 6-pieces skirt is just like the skirt on the screen right now. Okay, it has a center panel which is marked in yellow on both sides, which is straight. Okay, it's not curved in any way at all. Then the two side panels are curved. All right, they have the curve of the body, the shape of the body around the hip side. Okay, so this will be taken into consideration when designing. So the measurements you need your waist circumference, you need your hip circumference, you need your waist to hip, and you need your waist to floor measurements. The amount of fabric needed, you need to multiply your hip circumference by 2, or multiply by 2.5, or by 3, or by 4, depending on the amount of flare you want. I used 2.5 for my own, for the flare you're seeing in the video of mine. So you need to do this little calculation. It involves maths. You're going to divide your hip by 12, then add half an inch to that for seam allowance. Okay, so pause the video and just look at the math on the screen right now to understand it better. Then you're going to divide your waist circumference as well by 12, then add half an inch to that. So assuming your waist circumference is 30 inches, you divide it by 12, then add half an inch to the result you get. Pause the video right now to just study the formula on the screen. First of all, you need to cut the amount of fabric you will need. Like I told you, you can multiply your hip measurement by 2, or you can multiply by 3, or 2.5, or by 4. It depends on the amount of flare you want at your knee. Then you're going to divide the fabric into 2 unequal parts. One part will be 2 inches wider than the other. 2 inches wider than the other. The length of fabric you will be using will be the your waist to floor plus 2 inches. Your waist to floor plus 2 inches, you're going to hem at the top and hem at the bottom of the skirt. Now when you divide the width of fabric you have cut, one part has to be 2 inches wider than the other part. You're not going to divide into 2 equal parts like you're seeing in my video. The part that is 2 inches wider than the other part is the one for the back. Though that 2 inches will be used for zip allowance. All right, so okay, now I multiplied the amount of fabric I'm using is my hip times 2.5. So in the end I had to cut like 120 inches of fabric. All right, so multiply your hip by however much you want the flare at from your knee down to the floor to be. Okay, yeah, so after doing the unequal division, you are going to cut. All right, so that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to cut the fabric into 2. Remember that one part is 2 inches wider than the other part. And remember that the part that is 2 inches wider than the other part is going to be used for the back. And remember that the 2 inches is for zip allowance. Alright? Okay. So I'm just demonstrating further to let you know that there is a 2-inch difference between one part and the other parts. Alright, so I took the shorter part, which is the part for the front of the skirt. Alright, I took the shorter part right now, That's what I have. This is the shorter one. Alright, and it's for the front of the skirt, and I'm going to divide it into 3 equal parts. Alright, I'm going to divide this into 3 equal parts. Okay, so after dividing into 3 equal parts, like I am showing you right now, you want to make sure that the 3 parts are even. Then you fold in 2. Can you see that? You fold in 2, and you fold in 2 equal parts. You have already divided the fabric into 3, and you're folding into 2 again. Okay, then remember we divided our hip into 12 parts. I hope you did that, because we'll be needing it now. So from the waist to this point, I am measuring 19 inches. Okay, I am using 19 inches because you don't want your flay to start exactly at your knee. You won't be able to walk well. So you want the flay to start at least 3 inches above your knee. Alright, so a minimum of 3 inches above your knee normally falls at 20 to 19 inches from the waist. Okay, so I am using what? 19 inches. Then I am measuring that hip measurements. Remember I told you that the center panel is straight, no curves. So that hip measurements that we got, that's what I am using. That's what I am measuring right now, and that's what I measured initially. So I am marking the knee, the part I'm using to start the flay, or you can call it the knee. We'll call it knee for this training. Alright, so from the center fold, the place with the folds, only folds, from that place with folds like 6 times, that is, has 6 folds, okay, you're going to place your tape from that point and now measure what? The hip measurements, the hip divided by 12. You're going to measure it from the waist all the way to the knee line. You're going to measure that hip divided by 12 mark from the waist all the way to the knee line. Like I said, the center panel is a straight one. So because it is a straight one, no curves about it. We will not be doing any curves for the center panel. And like I told you, I'm working on the front piece. Don't worry, I'll show you how we will cut the side panel. The side panel has curves, so I'm going to show you how we will cut the side panel. Alright, but for now, what I'm demonstrating right now is how to cut the center panel, which is straight, and you're going to use your hip divided by 12 from your waist all the way to the knee. Alright, then from the knee point, you're just going to draw a slanting line to the end of the fabric. Alright, what I'm trying to show you right now is that this slanting line has to end where the fabric has a cut end. Alright, and now I am cutting. I am cutting through all layers. Alright, I'm cutting through all the layers. Now after cutting through all the layers, because I made sure I started measuring from the center fold, I'll have 3 pieces. Okay, I'll have 3 pieces. If you do not get 3 pieces after cutting, you made a mistake somewhere. You did not start measuring from the center folds. Alright, I'll have 3 pieces. So I'll just pick one as my center fold, as my center panel. I'll pick one as my center panel. As you can see, I have 3 pieces there. So I'm going to pick one as my center panel. I'm just showing you so you know. I'm going to pick one as my center panel, and this is the one I'll pick for my center panel. I'll set that aside. Then I will put the other 2 pieces together, right sides touching each other. Why? I want them to mirror themselves. Right sides touching each other, very important. If you do not put right sides touching each other, you have a big problem. Okay? So you notice I am folding it in half again because I divided my waist into 12. So I need to get that waist measurement. Now at the knee, take out 1.5 inches from the edge, from the cut edge. Okay, take out 1.5 inches. So there will be a difference of 1.5 inches from the cut edge. Then at the waist, I am dividing my waist into 12 right now with my calculator, my phone. So at the waist, that's your waist divided by 12. Make that mark. The waist divided by 12. Make that mark there. Then you draw a line from that waist divided by 12 to meet your hip. You are now doing the curve. You draw a line from that your waist divided by 4 to the hip line, to the hip, and then from the hip line, and then from your hip line, you go to that 1.5 you took out at the knee. So you should have a curve now that mimics the human shape. Then from that 1.5 you took out at the knee, you have to draw a new slanted line to the end of the fabric. You have to draw a new slanted line to the end of the fabric. And then after doing that, I will unfold. I will unfold. Very important, you must unfold. Okay, you must unfold. Do not cut while folded. Then I'll start cutting along the new lines I just made. Okay, I'll just start cutting along the new lines, the new marks I just made right now. Okay. I am following the curves I just made right now. And finally, we have created the side panels. The side panels that have the curves. We have created the side panels that have the curves on what? On the adjacent sides. Alright. The straight side will connect with the straight center panel, while the side panels are curved. Alright. We have done that now. Because I put right sides together, you can see that the fabrics is mirroring each other. Okay, they are not going in the same direction, they are going in opposite direction. The curves are going in opposite direction, which is very important whenever you want to do a skirt. Okay, and then this is my center panel. I have completed the front piece. Okay, I've completed the front piece, the cutting of the front part of the skirt. Okay, very easy, as you can see, very easy. So now I'll start cutting the back. Remember that the back is 2 inches wider than the front part. Okay, so even when I am dividing into 3, one part must be 2 inches wider than the other parts. It will not be I will not be dividing into 3 equal parts like I did with the front part, part of the skirt. No, I will not. For the back part of the skirt, you have to divide in such a way that one part is 2 inches wider than the other 2 parts. Okay, that part that is 2 inches wider is going to be the center panel of your skirt. It's going to be for the center panel of the back piece of your skirt. It's going to be for the center panel of the back piece of your skirt. Okay, so this fabric is really is a bit rumpled, so that's why I'm always trying to smoothen it. So I'm cutting the fabric into 3 unequal parts. Okay, so I'll just take the 2 equal parts and set aside. Then I'll start dealing with the center panel for the back piece. Okay, so I'll line it up properly. Very important that I line it up properly, and that it is even. It simply has to be even. Then after lining it up and making sure that it is evenly divided, or it's in equal parts, I am now cutting into 2. Then I am going to take the center panel of the front piece. I'm going to take it and I'm going to use it as a template to draft how my how the center panel of the back piece will be. So I'm going to fold the center panel of the front piece back into 2 equal parts. Then I'm going to place it 1 inch away from the end. There has to be a 1 inch difference at from one side, because that 1 inch difference is what I'm going to use as my 1 inch zip allowance. So there has to be a 1 inch difference on one side. Okay, so if you look carefully, I am placing the front piece at least 1 inch away from a particular edge. That's the fold. The fold of the front piece is 1 inch away from an end, from the is 1 inch away from the right hand side. All right, I just checked, I measured now, and I saw it's 1 inch away from the right hand side. And I will just use the template, the front piece as a template, and just cut along, as in I'll just follow the lines, the slanted line and straight line of the front center piece. I'll just follow it as I am cutting. So I had to pin my fabric. If you notice, sometimes I pin my fabric. That's because I'm shifting the fabric a lot on the table. The table is kind of small, so I have to shift my fabric a lot. And to make sure I don't have any errors or make any mistakes, I have to pin it so that even when I shift my fabric, it stays exactly how it was before I shifted it. If you don't have a big enough table, you might want to work on the floor, or if you really want to use a table, then make sure you pin it so that nothing shifts as you're shifting your fabric up and down. And there it is. I have easily created the center panel of my back piece. I have created the center panel of my back piece. So this can get a little confusing. You won't know which one is back piece and which one is front piece again. So I now made a mark on exactly where the zip is going to be. I made a mark where the zip is going to be. Okay, I made it on one side and also made it on the other side of the fabric where the zip is going to be. Okay, so that when I want to sew, I don't have to start looking at the fabric too much. Once I see that mark there, I know this is where I'm supposed to place my zip. This is where I'm supposed to sew the 1-inch zip allowance. I know that immediately and I start sewing immediately instead of checking with my measuring tape to know where this one is and where the other one isn't. Just save yourself some time and stress, and do the same thing as well. So the other parts, the other 2 equal parts of the back piece. As you can see, the place that is folded, the place with the fold, that's what I was trying to show you, the place with the fold. Right sides touching each other. Make sure that right sides are touching each other. Then you just place, you take one of the curved side panels of the front piece. You just take one of them and you use it as a template for the back piece. And you cut the back piece exactly according to this template. You do not need to do any addition or any subtraction or anything. You cut it exactly according to this template. As you can see, I am pinning because I'll be shifting this fabric a lot, and I do not want any I don't want the fabric to shift while I am moving it around on the table. So if you're going to be moving your fabric a lot, you might want to pin it so that it doesn't shift, because once the fabric shifts, you will cut inaccurately. So to prevent that kind of stress, just pin it. Okay. So you just cut following the template of the side panel of the front piece. You just cut following that template exactly the way the template of the front piece is. That is exactly how you're going to cut this back piece. Okay. And that's it. I'll finish cutting that one. So because I placed right sides together, or rather because it was folded, I have two side panels that are mirroring themselves. Okay, very important. I have two side panels that are mirroring themselves, and then the center panel of the back piece with the zip allowance. All right, and I have 4 pieces at the back. All right, so when you're done with your cutting, you should have 4 pieces for your back. So you might want to label back on, the pieces for the back. You might just want to label back on them, or write B or something on them. So I have sewn the front piece, as you can see. I start from the bottom. I start sewing from the bottom and sew all the way up to the waist. So I start sewing from the leg of the skirt and sew all the way up to the waist. So now I want to place my darts. My dart is going to be 1 inch thick at the waist. This is 1 inch, ignoring seam allowance. Remember, I'm using half an inch for my seam allowance. So that means from the very edge of the skirt, I am measuring like 1.5 inches. And I'm going to take this seam allowance. I'm going to take the dart all the way down to 6 inches. The dart will be like 6 inches long. It all depends on what you use for your waist to hip measurement. Okay, for this particular skirt, I used 7 inches for my waist to hip measurement. I used 7 inches. And so when you use 7 inches, you want your dart to stop at least half an inch or 1 inch from the hip line. Okay, you want your dart to stop at least half an inch or 1 inch from the hip line. So if you're using 7 inches, your dart should be stopping 6 inches or 6.5 inches from the waist. If you're using 8 inches, then your dart should be stopping 7 inches or 7.5 from the waist. From the hip. Your dart should be stopping 7 inches or 7.5 from the hip. So whatever you use as your waist to hip measurement, your dart should stop at least 1 inch from the hip line. 1 inch or half inch from the hip line. Now this is the back piece. Okay, do the same dart for the back piece. Your dart will be 1 inch thick and should stop at least half an inch or 1 inch from your hip line. Okay, so after sewing this is actually the front piece. After sewing your darts, after doing sewing the darts, you create a curvature. Normally in skirts, I create a curvature that is deep, that has its apex at the center front line. Okay, that has its apex at the center front line. All right, so the apex of the curvature is normally half an inch. The apex of the curvature is normally half an inch. So I'm going to measure half an inch at the center front line. And then draw a line from that center front line all the way. Draw a slanted line from that center front line, from that half inch. Draw a slanted line from that half inch all the way to the end of the skirt. So I'm really trying to make this visible, because I know most of the marks I made on this fabric is not really that visible, and I apologize for that. So that's why I was really forcing that mark so that you can actually see it. And that's what it looks like when you're done. This is what it looks like. All right, this is what it's going to look like, just to create the curvature for the skirt, for the front. And you only do this for the front piece, and this is actually because of the bulge of the stomach, to make to accommodate the curvature of the bulge of the stomach. All right, so you only do this for the front piece. The back is straight and doesn't have any curvature, so you don't need to do what I just did now, taking out half an inch at the center front line. You don't need to do it at the back. So this is the back piece. Remember, you're going to do the same darts, that is 1 inch deep. You're going to do it as well for the back piece. Then placing right sides together, you just sew the side seams. All right, you sew the side seams, and you use 1 inch. You use 1 inch to sew the side seams. Then this is for the waistband. Okay, I cut a strip of fabric that is about 2 inches. Okay, it's about 2 inches. So 2 inches long. It's 2 inches long, and the width of the fabric is the width of the skirt. Okay, so you have to measure, is the like your waist actually. You have to measure your waist. So whatever your waist is, that's how wide this waistband will be. So you're going to sew it. You're going to sew from the back at first. You're going to put right side to wrong side of the back and sew all the way down. You're going to do this after you've sewn the side seams though. Then when you have sewn all the way down, you will now fold. You do a double fold. So first of all, you will sew right side of the waistband to wrong side of the skirt. You sew it round, starting from the zip. I normally start from the zip. Then you do a double fold and sew on top and top stitch. I start from the zip and go all the way around back to the zip. I hope you loved today's sewing tutorial, and please like and share it with your friends as well. And I'll be uploading more sewing tutorials, explanations, and stuff like that. So please subscribe so that you'll get updates as well whenever I do that. Don't forget to click the link below to subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Bye.